Hey there, how's it going? So in this video, I'm going to show you how to use SplitJson, EvaluateJsonPath, RouteOnAttribute, as well as MergeContent. In the previous video, I've showed how to use FetchFile and PutFile to basically get a specific file from the input directory and write it to the output directory on a daily basis. So this is going to be an extension of that video. So what I'm going to do is create a new process group. I will call this one ingest pipeline 2. So what I'm going to do is, since these two processors are going to be part of my new pipeline, I can just copy them from here. So if I shift and highlight these two processors, just copy them and go into my new process group, paste it. Yeah. Now let me show you the content of GenerateFlowfile. The GenerateFlowfile is the first processor in my upstream flow. So that is where everything starts. So what I've defined here are attributes of input path, which is the input directory, the output path, and today's date. So the fetch file just has the file path, as you can see here. So the next thing I need to do is configure SplitJson processor. So the SplitJson is going to be my downstream processor. So the relationship is going to be success. So when the fetch file is successful, I need to direct the flow to SplitJson. So now I need to configure SplitJson. So I need to provide the JSON path expression here, and the expression is going to be $**. So this will split the JSON file into different flow files. So it's going to split the JSON object into separate flow file. For example, let me show you the actual flow file. So if I get a funnel here, I can direct success to the funnel. So I can trigger these two processors. If I refresh now, you see I've got a new flow file here. So I can list the queue. So if I click view, you see these are the data or JSON objects of that file. So what the SplitJson is going to do for me is split the object into different flow files. So this would be separate flow file, this would be separate flow file, and so on. I can check the attributes. I showed you earlier, I specified input paths, output paths, and date. So these are the attributes. So now I've configured the SplitJson earlier, right? So what I need to do next is show you the results of that SplitJson execution. So I'll get a new funnel here, and the relationship I want to define for this funnel is split. So this we have the data of the split JSON object. And the reason I'm getting one in here is because I haven't defined the relationship for failure as well as original. So what I'm going to do is mark them to automatically fail because I don't want to define them. So now you see the flow file is currently in the queue. So if I trigger the split JSON, it should execute it. Now, if I refresh, you can see it splits the JSON data into 197 flow file, as you can see here in this queue. So I can list the queue. So you can see all these flow files. So if I click on one of them, you see you can view it from here. So you can see this is just one of the JSON objects. It's split into one flow file. So the next thing I need to do is configure a new processor called EvaluateJsonPath. So if I double click this, what I want to do is change the destination to flow file attribute because I'm going to use the JSON attributes in my subsequent flow logic. So I need to change this to flow file attributes. And I need to add a new property called language. So let me explain. The reason I need language is because I need to extract language from each of these flow file and create a group based on the language. So I want to fetch all the JSON that belong to the same language group. So that is the logic I'm going to write later on. So I'm going to get the language by providing this expression $sign.language. So once that is done, I will go to settings and I don't need failure and I don't need unmatched. The relationship I need is matched, so I will leave that unchecked. So I will use splits in this case because I want the splits data to come to that processor. So once that is done, the next processor I need is called RouteOnAttribute. So if I double click it, I will define my logic in the RouteOnAttribute. So I'm going to have three properties, group 1, group 2, and group 3. So let me define group 1. So my logic here is going to based on checking if the language is sending or any other language. So this is my logic. So if language matches, so starts with, so I just go here and copy this. So if language is Sindhi or this language, use $sign to end the expression. So this is my logic. So I'm going to define logic for group 2 and group 3 with different languages. So I've defined all the groups. So the next thing I need to do is go to settings. So I can automatically terminate the unmatched flow files. So by checking the box. So now I can connect the flow file with the upstream flow. So I need the matched relationship from upstream. So I will only get the matched data from the EvaluateJsonPath to the RouteOnAttribute. So that means only the matched data based on this defined logic will be sent downstream to the RouteOnAttribute processor. So the reason I'm still getting error warning here is because I haven't defined the group 1, group 3, and group 2 relationship. So what I'm going to do next is basically send the group 1, group 3, and group 2 data downstream. So to do that, I need a MergeContent processor. So I'm going to configure the MergeContent processor for group 1, group 2, and group 3. So if I double click this, it will show you the different options for MergeContent. So what I want to do is use bin packing algorithm. So this will basically pack all the flow files into one bin, basically pull them all together, and the result is going to be one flow file, a flow file consisting of all the data in the previous flow file. So if I go to settings, I only want to return the merged data. So I'm going to check failure and original to automatically terminate. So I will define this as group 1. So all the group 1 flow files should be sent to that MergeContent processor. So I've defined the configured the group 1, group 2, group 3 MergeContent. So the next thing I need to do is basically configure an UpdateAttribute processor. So as before, the reason the warning is here is because the relationship for merged has not been defined yet. So what I would do is define it here. That should get rid of that warning, as you can see. This is for group 2. I want to do the same for group 1 and group 3. So I will do this. Merged. Okay, all the warning for the merged contents are now resolved. So I need to configure the UpdateAttribute processor. So what I want to do here is create a new properties called file name. So what I want to do is rename the existing file name property to basically have the name of the file based on the group. So it will be like this. So I need to use, so before I show you how I want to configure it. Let me just go back a bit. So I'll go back and try to execute this flow file. So I'll pass it to the EvaluateJson, and I will start the EvaluateJson. Refresh. So we've got the files here, right? Let's see what EvaluateJson gives. So if I right click this and list the queue and check one of these, I should be able to have language as part of the attributes, as you can see here. So that is what the EvaluateJson does. So if I now start RouteOnAttribute, now I've got the data for group 1 routed to the group 1 relationship, data for group 2 to group 2 relationship, and data for group 3 to group 3 relationship. Now if I check group 1, I should be able to find the language as what I defined in the logic previously. And here you can see the attribute here is called RouteOnAttribute.route, which is group 1. So you will see the same thing for group 2 and group 3. So I'm going to use this property or attribute when setting up the file name for each of the group. So what I would do here is configure the UpdateOnAttribute. Specify the RouteOnAttribute.route underscore. There is another attribute I defined called today date. So that would be .json. So that's all I need to do. The last processor I need is called PutFile. So I'll drag the processor here. So I need to configure the PutFile. the directory I need to specify is an attribute or a property which I defined earlier in the first processor, GenerateFlowfile processor. So I need to use that here. It's called output path. And the conflict resolution strategy I need to define is going to be replaced. And what that will do is, instead of failing the flow when it finds the same file name in that directory, it will replace that file name. So it will not fail, but it will replace it. And in case of missing directory, what I want to do is fail the process. So I'll specify false as the value. And if I go to settings, I need to check these boxes because I don't need them. Okay, so now everything is done. So if I start all this merge content, it should merge group 1, group 2, and group 3. So if I refresh, you see now the group 1 has one flow file after it's been merged, and the same for group 2 and the same for group 3. Now, if I start the update attributes, you can see now we have the flow file for all the 3 groups. And if I right click it and list the queue, you see we have 3 flow file here, the file name group 1, group 2, and group 3. So the next thing I need to do is write the file into this destination directory. So I'll start PutFile. So you see the file has been written into this destination directory. Group 1 is 11 kilobytes, group 2 is 10 kilobytes, and group 3 is 17 kilobytes. That is how you can use SplitJson, EvaluateJsonPath, RouteOnAttribute, and MergeContent in Nifi. Hope this video is useful for you or in your projects. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe button, and leave a comment. Have a lovely day and goodbye.